Well, this was our first walk with baby in the stroller along the cliffs in one of our favorite places in the world. And I'm on 10% battery. And so, it was with a light heart and a giddy smile that I now sign off. Good day. Good day. It's time for a 1% video. 1% battery power. But here you are. This is your first walk. There's Mommy and Puppy and Lee. And where's Seascape? Signing off, little buddy, because I got 1% battery power. Love you. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was busy sitting here being very classy, very sophisticated. You see, this is what I do. Hey, little buddy. So, this is your next installment of the Bean videos. Yeah? So, today you find me in my, well, I guess I can't show you like that because it won't turn around once I start recording. But this is my office. This is where I work right now. You are about 3 months old as of tomorrow, actually. And right now I work at a place called Janice of Santa Cruz. It's a drug and alcohol treatment facility where I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. I'm not sure if that's what I'm still doing. That's an exercise bike I need to start actually getting on. I'm not sure if that's what I'm still doing at this point with you. Whenever you're seeing this, or if that's what I have been doing up until this point, since if you're seeing this, I may not be around anymore. So, in any case, let me plug this in because I got low battery. This is your next installment, and just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a look at what my life is like, I guess, in terms of where I work and everything. You were born 3 months ago. As you can see by that little video at the beginning of this, we just took you on your first little walk in the buggy. So it's been an amazing yet an exhausting ride for sure. You know, it's been more than I expected, and wonderful in every way, and exhausting. And you're amazing. You're amazing. I'm in love with you. You know, the first couple months were a little bit difficult for me because they seem to be difficult for you too. Because you were born a few weeks early, you know, you were mostly very fussy, and basically it was all about mommy. It was all about mommy and milk, and there it was, right? And I was sort of not her, and so and I'm also clumsy and loud and all those things that you weren't into. But at this point, almost 3 months in, you're beginning to smile, you're beginning to coo. You smile every time you see me now, and that fills me with joy. I can't even comprehend how much I love you and how much I continue to grow in love with you every single day. You were the most beautiful, smart, bright, adorable, intuitive. I can already tell you're sensitive. I can already tell you're going to be well attuned to others, and well attuned to your environment. Sometimes, though, you know, like I said, you know, if a mouse farts, you wake up, for one thing. And I am not exactly slow and graceful. And I find myself at times feeling like I'm doing the exact wrong thing with you. Sometimes I feel like I'm the worst parent that there is or ever could possibly be. Like I can't do anything right. And I hope to God I get better at it than sometimes I feel like I am now. Hopefully I'm, you know, just being hard on myself. You know, this comes from a lifelong struggle with low self-esteem that I've had. And when I was a kid, I was skinny. I had bright red hair. You have red hair right now. I wonder if you're going to continue to have it as you grow older. I had huge buck teeth, a major overbite, bright red freckles. I was a skinny, frail kid. Plus, my interests were totally different from most other, boys my age. I was awkward. I had ADHD. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was super hyperspastic and annoying. I would do things like say the days of the week in a little loop when I was in class, when in like 4th grade or something, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like in the middle of story time or something, and those around me didn't dig it, and so I felt very much ostracized and uncool and not good enough when I was a kid. If you add to that the fact that I was pretty overprotected by my mom, they tried to have me for a very long time. It was going to be their last shot because of some physical health issues with my mom, and they had one shot at it basically, and they tried for a long time before I came around. And when I did, my mom was so overjoyed, but she was really overprotective of me as well, and that continued on as I grew. And so I had this feeling that I wasn't capable of doing anything because mom would swoop in and do it for me. Add to that the fact that my dad's my grandfather, left my dad when my dad was like 10 years old. My granddad, your great granddad, both of them really were in World War II, and we'll probably talk about that in a later video sometime. But my father's father suffered probably what is PTSD, but it wasn't known as that back then. They didn't know about it back in the 40s. And in the 50s, and my grandfather had problems, I think, readjusting back to civilian life when he came back, and so he just walked out on my dad when my dad was 10 years old, just walked literally like I'm going to the store, never came back. And when I was 10 years old, my dad fell into a deep depression that lasted for a while. And I remember he wouldn't get out of bed. I remember one time he didn't get out of bed for like a month. And later on, we realized why. He was actually bipolar manic depressive. But on another level, I came to realize when I got older, he was the same age, or I was the same age that he was when his dad left him. And I think there was some existential angst, some sort of panic that he didn't have a blueprint from this point on with me, and how to deal with my insecurities, because he'd never had, he was an insecure person too in a lot of ways. A brilliant, amazing, beautiful, wonderful person who had no reason to be insecure, but he was. However, luckily my dad stuck around, unlike his father, and he installed in me all this other creativity and daring to be myself and all that stuff. But at the same time, during those most formative years, I had no real confidence instilling force in my life. And this, in combination with the fact that I was so very different than a lot of the other kids and everything, led to deeply rooted insecurities, which have never fully faded. Even when I came into my own in high school, unbeknownst to me, whereas I was this awkward, gawky, looking kid in junior high, when high school came around my sophomore year or so, I started to kind of come into my own. And unbeknownst to me, I became good looking. I'm told. I became musically inclined. I'd always been singing since I was a young age, but in high school I started experimenting with instruments and songwriting. I met other musicians, started doing that, formed a band, chaotic opera. And maybe I'll put one of our songs at the end of this video. That might be a good idea. Anyway, and all that led to this situation where, like, I was actually really popular. Chicks were into me. We played shows all the time, but I didn't see any of that. I still saw myself as that geeky little weirdo. And so I never fully believed it. I never fully believed that so-and-so thought I was cute, or that, I actually had talent, or any of that stuff. I just didn't, on some deep level, I didn't believe it. And this led to a life of never really fully pulling the trigger, never truly believing in myself. As time went on, you know, I stuck with music. I became, if I do say so myself at this point, a talented songwriter. I think I wrote good songs. You know, I became more and more adept at my instrument, at the bass, which is my main instrument. But I also went to California Recording Institute. I became a sound engineer. I learned how to play guitar, keyboards. I would write entire songs on their own, doing the bass, the drums, the guitar, the keyboards, 4-part harmonies. I would do all that stuff, but I always half-assed all the stuff that would have furthered that as a career because I didn't believe in myself, and so I would subconsciously sabotage myself. So getting demos to the right places, or you know, doing all the footwork to actually make that a career, which is what my real, original, and true passion was and still is music. But I didn't believe in myself, and so I never fully pulled the trigger. And this led to a number of years, basically, where I just spent sort of floundering. You know, I moved to the Bay Area to try to make it in music at first, and then some things happened with the people I moved with, and I came back, had to come back to Modesto, or rather I made the choice to come back to Modesto because it seemed like to me at the time that I had to. And you know, and then I looked at that as a failure. We went to San Francisco to make it, and then I have to come back, and so that just confirmed that I'm a failure, right? And this led to all kinds of stuff, which ultimately led me to, when my father died, drugs, addiction, crystal meth, where I spent 12 years on that, 13 years actually, you know, and all that combined into a couple of things. It was good and bad. There's good and bad to everything, even the worst things. There's good and bad. That lack of self-confidence and those decisions that I then made because I didn't have confidence led to a few things. First off, defiance of what others thought of me, you know. So I became homeless on the streets of Santa Cruz. I couldn't shower, couldn't bathe. We were living in bushes, vans, stuff like that. And so I developed a defiance of what others thought of me. You don't think I'm any good? Screw you. It was good and bad. It was good because screw what other people think of you. Screw what other people think of you. But it was bad because the reason behind it was that I assumed that they already thought I was a piece of crap. I assumed that they must think I'm a piece of crap because everything in my life, all the circumstances have reinforced my belief that I'm a piece of crap. Didn't make it in music, got strung out on drugs, now I'm homeless, I must be a piece of crap. I always knew it. And so, okay, I'm a piece of crap, screw you, right? But I was the only one that was convinced of that, not necessarily others. So the second thing that led to was an acceptance of that addict life, right? I lived as an addict. I figured at some point I became a functional addict, quote unquote. I was able to hold a job for a while, a few years at a time. I would inevitably screw that one up, right? But I was able to do it for a while, and I found this little groove that basically worked in my life, and I thought, you know what, that's good enough for me. I'll accept this addict life because, you know, that's what I'm bound for. And that was good because it was true freedom in many ways. You know, there's only 3 ways to be truly free. Be completely broke, be completely wealthy, or realize that it's a state of mind. Well, at the time, I didn't realize the state of mind thing. And so being out there in the wind, on the streets with no obligations, no job, nobody telling me what to do, going wherever the heck I wanted to, it was freeing, and it was good in those ways. But it was bad because A, I was killing myself. B, I may have been surviving, but I was not thriving. I had let go of all my passions, all my music, everything of my life. I'd let go of it all. So when the indictment came down, and I was facing prison time, that's when everything changed. You know, it's a blessing when circumstances finally become so oppressive, or the consequences or the perils become so serious that one finally decides to change. Because I wouldn't have changed otherwise. I'd be out there right now. If that indictment hadn't come down, I'd be out there right now. And I'm very grateful that it did, because it caused me to access some support. And I met men, a man who used to be my landlord, a man named Dennis Spear. He's been my surrogate father in so many ways. When I lived with him when I was still living the addict life. Years later, the indictment came down. The only person I could think of to turn to for any kind of help, like what do I do now? Because I was facing 10 years, mandatory minimum prison. And I thought of Dennis, and he introduced me to this whole group of men who helped me learn what it means to be a man. I learned 3 of the most valuable lessons of my life. I hope I've told you this a million times. I hope you take it to heart. Live life by intentionality, not expectation. Intention through action, not expectation, because expectations will always let you down. Second thing, the most important thing right here, the only difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is the context you choose to hold around it. And I probably said that to you a million times by now, I bet you anything. It's true, it's true. It's true, Pete. It's really true. You will make of a situation that which you decide you're capable of making it. I can look at a thing that happens to me and everything about it screams obstacle, end, stop, aren't going to go any further. And I can use that to destroy myself. Or I can look at that and say, what an opportunity for me to learn something about myself, for me to look at this from a different angle. I think in a lot of ways about things like the 12-bar blues. You know, there's a lot of types of music out there in the world from different parts of the world that have much more complex and complicated tonal scales with, eighth, increments. I can't think of words right now, I'm tired. And, extravagant time signatures, Indian music, sitar music, things like that. And yet people with very simple 12-bar blues and your simple Western scale have been making moving, amazing music that speaks to the soul, because that restriction gives you the opportunity to funnel and channel that energy using those restrictions to shape it and give it even more energy and hone it. And parameters, problems, these are things that if we learn to embrace them, will make us successful in life. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I forget all the time. I remind myself these things every single day because I forget them every single day on some level. But I remember them too. I never just let it go at forgot. You gotta always remind yourself, man. Third thing, you could pile up a million mistakes behind you. None of it matters. The only thing in life that ever matters is what you do next. Don't get caught in the trap of defining yourself by all the mistakes you've made and saying that you're not capable of anything more than that. Bullshit. Bullshit. If you tell yourself that, that will be true. And it's okay if you tell yourself that. That's the other thing. Don't beat yourself up then because you told yourself that. Say, it's okay, I told myself that. What am I going to do now? Now I'm going to challenge that thought. I'm going to tell myself, that's not true. I can do this. And so I grew from, a place of I suck and I will never succeed. Through being forged by the fire of the indictment and everything, I grew from the whole I suck, I have no talent, I'm a piece of shit, I'll never amount to anything. I didn't go from there to I can succeed. No, I went from there to maybe I won't fail. I'll be open to the idea. But I still didn't get to I will and I can. And I still struggle with that to this day. You know, I built from just from coming from a place of I suck to a place of maybe I won't fail. Maybe I will succeed. There's a distinguishment there. Don't say maybe I won't fail. Maybe I will succeed. It's better. It's forward looking. Anyway, even just from that little bit, I built a life so far, which has been just transformative for me. It's led me through all kinds of things, through getting my drug and alcohol counseling education, to doing what I do, teaching IoT, or facilitating IoT, intensive outpatient treatment, having the opportunity to give back to other people who are struggling in life, to be able to give them hope, to show them, you know, you can do it. Even though you don't believe that you can do it, you can. All you got to do is just be willing, just be open to the idea that maybe you can. That's all you got to do. You don't have to believe. So even from just that little bit, it's led me through this amazing, insane life, which is so different and far away from living in a van, you know, getting arrested all the time. And it's led me to this point, to the most precious and beautiful thing in my world, which is you. I mean, you're amazing. But still, at the center of the foundation of all of that I've built over these past 6 years is a cavity, a void, a hole. It's empty of any real initial foundational confidence that I can do it, because I was never given that as a kid. At the most formative years of my life, when that takes root and forms into a base off of which you can grow. Because I was never given that, because I was overprotected, because, you know, and by the way, these were things done out of love. My mother loved me dearly. She put her own stuff on me because I was so precious to her, because I was like so hard to have, and they knew they would only ever have me. I became this golden egg that had to be handled and managed. And it wasn't to try to like make me feel like I couldn't do anything. It was because she had her own stuff she was playing out on me. So, you know, the net result of that, though, is that foundation lacks a core, and there's persistent low self-esteem, because I wasn't given it self-esteem in the most formative years of my life. So the net result is that I've succeeded, but I've had to work twice as hard for everything that I've succeeded at in order to combat my own natural tendencies and insecurities. You know, that if I'd had that sort of confidence at the core of who I am, if I developed it earlier, I can't put it all on my mom either, right? I mean, if I had just been aware that that was something that I could develop when I was younger, if I had taken steps to do that earlier in my life, you know, I would have developed more of a core than I have now, because I'm constantly battling my own, you know, insecurities, and that's time and energy that could have been used to become the very thing I dreamed of being in my soul as a young man, a musician. I could be writing albums right now and touring and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, first off, great, but at the same time, I wouldn't have this beautiful life that I have right now. So wherever you are in life, whatever circumstances bring you wherever, always know it's your right. I don't know what word to use. It is always at your disposal to decide what context you're going to have around the life that you have at any given moment, obstacle or opportunity. And so I don't begrudge, you know, this life, anything, man, nothing. I think I would still have you even if I were a musician, because I've been with Pam since the dawn of time. But I love what I do because I'm able to help people in my job and in my career, and I found purpose through it. But yeah, I would have loved to have been a musician. I'm an artist at heart. I'm a creative soul. And I was not able to follow that because of all those insecurities. And that's what I worry about, you know, and that's where I hope to God I succeed with you, because I don't want you to go through those same things. And I know parents seemingly always through time hand down the exact opposite thing than what they got. So if I was beaten as a kid, I'm gonna make sure to coddle my kid, and then my kid was coddled, and so then they're gonna be entitled and hit people or whatever. It's always this back and forth thing, and I mean, not always, but there's that tendency. So my hope is that that I teach you the value that you possess innately by allowing you to show yourself that you can do whatever you set your mind to. Whether I've succeeded at doing that by the time you're watching this or not, I want to tell you that right now. Pete, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. You are full of energy and wonder and joy and intensity and emotion and empathy and sensitivity, and those are super powerful attributes to possess. You are whatever you decide you are. Screw what other people tell you. Screw what the world tells you. Screw mostly those lies that you tell yourself about how you're not worthy or you're not capable. Because every human being has that, first off. I didn't corner the market on that. We all have that. It's part of being human. Some of us feel it more so than others, but we all have that little voice that tells us that we're not worthy or we're not capable. But here's the news flash for you. You are. You are. You don't have to believe that. You just have to be open to it being possible and go from there. And you can still succeed. But I hope that you will believe in yourself, that you will come to believe in yourself. Even if you don't believe in yourself by the time you're watching this, you can change it. You can change it. Because you're capable of doing all the things you dream of doing and all the things you dream of being. You just have to do them. You don't have to believe it. Take it till you make it. Do the next thing. And challenge those thoughts. Tell yourself. Don't say, I'm not a piece of shit. That's still a negative. I'm not a not. Tell yourself, I am a good person. I am capable. Tell yourself positive things about yourself. I can do this. I will do this. Tell yourself that shit every day. Every day when you wake up, you look yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself that. And then you plan and you take action based on those plans. And you won't believe it at first, but eventually what will happen is that you will. Because we all have this feedback loop soundtrack running in the back of our brain that's been there since the day we were born, tells us what we can do, what we can't do. We don't even notice it, but guess what? We can reprogram it once we become aware of it. And any things that are counterproductive that are in that little feedback loop, that static running in the back, you can take control of by telling yourself, I am good enough, I am smart enough, I am talented, I am able to do this, I will do this. Then plan, then take action. And whether you know all that or not, I already know you're good enough, you are capable, you are lovable, and you already possess all the tools you'll ever need to become the man you were meant to be. I hope you believe that. If you don't believe it yet, that's okay, man. It's okay. Teach yourself that. Tell yourself that. Remind yourself that. And then eventually you'll come to know what I already know about you, which is you are fucking awesome. And you can do anything. I love you. Now back to being classy. I'm going to roll off screen.